record on this computer.
Okay, I'm ready.
All right, whenever you're ready.
Today we're going to be talking about Dove's Stop the Beauty Test campaign. This presentation was done by James Stover, Tristany Tesoriero, Sydney Crenshaw, Chris Hollis, and Jami Bernstein. First, we're going to be talking about the situation analysis, and then we're going to dive into the host country environment, and then we're going to go into the primary publics and audience. Then we're going to move forward to talking about the campaign overview, and then the communication tools, and lastly, the conclusion.
Dove was established in 1957 in the United States, launching its first product, the Beauty Cleansing Bar. In 2004, the Dove campaign for real beauty began alongside the Dove Self-Esteem Project. Dove's mission is to redefine beauty standards and ensure the next generation has a positive relationship with their appearance, helping young people raise their self-esteem. The brand aims to help 250 million people build a positive body image by 2030. Its vision is to empower women globally to develop a healthy relationship with their appearance, fostering self-esteem and helping them realize their full potential. Dove's core values include empowerment, education, body image positivity, natural beauty, sustainability, and women's freedom. The Stop the Beauty Test campaign is strongly aligned with Dove's brand identity, reinforcing the values of their Real Beauty campaign by challenging traditional beauty standards. Its cultural relevance, especially in Southeast Asia, is a key strength as it addresses deeply ingrained issues by using real women's stories to create empathy and engagement. Additionally, Dove's social media strategy centered around hashtags effectively encourages user participation and spreads the message widely, helping to engage a larger audience. The campaign offers significant opportunities for social change by challenging long-standing societal beauty norms. It promotes the idea of natural beauty, which can inspire other organizations to rethink their own approach to beauty. Furthermore, the campaign holds the potential to catalyze a paradigm shift in how Indian society views arranged marriages, encouraging a more inclusive, less appearance-focused process. However, the campaign faces challenges, particularly in navigating cultural nuisance in India, challenging deeply ingrained beauty standards, especially around arranged marriages, could lead to resistance from conservative groups who might perceive it as an attack on traditions. Additionally, the campaign could risk a backlash if culture or societal aspects are misunderstood, particularly under India's media restrictions. If the campaign is misinterpreted or mishandled, it could attract negative attention and damages. Dove's reputation, making careful messaging and crisis management essential. One of the key challenges Dove faces with the Stop the Beauty Test campaign is media restriction. Under the Modi government in India, the increased regulation and control over media limit press freedom and often censor content that is considered controversial or critical of cultural norms. This could hinder Dove's ability to gain broad media coverage and may require the brand to adjust its messaging to avoid crossing political or cultural boundaries. Additionally, local beauty brands that align more closely with traditional Indian values may use this campaign as an opportunity to position themselves as more culturally relevant than Dove. These brands could launch counter campaigns that emphasize their understanding of local beauty ideas, portraying Dove as disconnected from Indian culture. This is especially significant given the loyalty many consumers have to homegrown brands. Another major concern is the risk of social media misinformation. While social media is essential for shaping public perception, it also carries the dangers of Dove's messaging being misinterpreted or manipulated, leading to public outrage or negative discussion. To ensure the success of Stop the Beauty campaign, Dove should adapt its message to local cultures by partnering with Indian influencers and beauty experts while creating region-specific campaigns that resonate with diverse audiences. Collaborating with NGOs or women's organizations can further add credibility, and proactive crisis management plan should be implemented to address any potential backlash or misinformation. From the competitive perspective, Dove must compare its positioning with local beauty brands that use culturally relevant tactics and emphasize their agility in adapting to beauty trends. These local competitors may pose a threat, especially with more affordable pricing, so understanding consumer loyalty towards Homegrown brands versus international ones like Dove is crucial. Legally and ethically, Dove must ensure compliance with Indian advertising laws, particularly concerning sensitive cultural norms. Working with local legal experts will help navigate potential regulatory risks. Ethical marketing practices should be at the forefront, focusing on genuine social change rather than profit motives. Transparency in messaging is key to building trust and avoiding accusations of exploitation.
All right, so now we're going to talk a little bit about the host country. So India is a parliamentary secular democratic republic. They are led by two figures, the president, which is the head of state, which is President Murmu, who is pictured on the top left of this page here, and then the prime minister, who is the head of government, who really holds the most power in the country, that is Prime Minister Modi. So a couple facts about India. They're the second largest democracy in the world. The parliament is made of two houses. One is the House of the People, and one is the Council of the States. The Council of the States members are nominated by the president and then appointed by state legislature. And then the House of the People is more of like what we would think of in America as the presidency, where the leader is elected by the people, and they have a two-party system there, just like we do here. One is the Indian National Congress, the INC, and the other is the Bharatiya Janata Party, the BJP. All right, so to talk about their Freedom House Democracy Index. So India is rated as a 66 out of 100 with political rights, 33 out of 40 with civil liberties, and 33 out of 60 with a free status. Their internet freedom is only a 50 out of 100. And then it breaks that down farther with obstacles to access being a 13 out of 25. And then the next one being limits on content, which is a 20 out of 35. The last one is violations of user rights, which is 17 out of 40. So not a very free internet access for the people there. So this partly free rating was actually a decrease from the year before. So they were at a 51 out of 100, and they've slipped down now to a 50 out of 100. So India struggles with harassment of journalists, of NGOs, and other critics of Modi. And you'll see that more as this presentation goes on. People of varying castes, Muslims, and then other political opponents of Modi have been targeted by harassment and marginalization on the web. So as far as their corruption barometer, the Transparency International scores 180 countries around the world based off public sector corruption. India is received a 39 out of 100, which ranks its public corruption at 93 out of 108 countries, the lower number indicating that you are better. So they're not great for being one of the largest nations in the world. They're really with much smaller nations in that corruption barometer, which isn't a good sign for having over 1 billion people in your country. Their scores also decreased by 1 point since 2022 in this, as well as the last slide. So out of 20,000 citizens that Transparency International surveyed in 2020, 1 in 5 people who used a public service had to pay a bribe, and 89% of the population surveyed think that the government corruption in India is a big problem. So the world economic situation, India has a very strong economy. They've been on the up and up for several years. They're projected a 6.9% growth in GDP in 2024, and then a 6.6% growth in 2025. The regional GDP is projected to grow by 5.8% this year, which is slightly below the 6.2% in 2023. And inflation is slowing in the country, which is obviously a good sign for buying power for a lot of people. That inflation is down to 4.5 in 2024 compared to 5.6% the year prior. Total GDP for India in 2024 was 3.95 trillion US dollars, and the total GDP per capita was $2,730. That's in USD per person. So as far as media freedom goes, India has a mix of public and private media ownership. As far as broadcasting goes, they have the state-run Doordarshan, which is privately, I'm sorry, they have the state-run Doordarshan media channels. And as far as privately owned, they have NDTV, The Times Now, and then Talk, which is has a very large popularity and market share. Print is still way more popular in India than it is here in the United States. Some large publications include the Times of India, Hindustan, and then the Bhaskar. And they also publish in multiple different languages. They publish in English, Hindi, Bengali, Tamil, Tagalog, and Marathi. So there's a large range of audiences viewing all of their media in print. As far as digital media, there's been a large shift towards more people using digital media, with Instagram, Facebook, WhatsApp being the most popular services in the country in order. And then also, you can't talk about India without talking about their film industry. Bollywood is the second largest film industry in the world, only behind Hollywood. And these films absolutely shape the culture, discourse, and entertainment sphere for Indians, both in India and outside of the country. As far as media freedom, Freedom House rates India at a 2 out of 4 on the free and independent media scale. So a lot of these issues and why they get a low score is because of the Modi government. Reporting under Modi has become significantly less ambitious, and there have been many attacks on the press. So they utilize different things to actually silence people, which is defamation, hate speech laws, and contempt of court charges. And actually, just recently, officials raided the BBC offices in Delhi and Mumbai. And this was only 1 month after they had published a documentary on Modi. So his government went after them and actually raided their offices, stating that it wasn't associated with this, but I think the line could be drawn very easily for people on the outside looking in. Also, Hindu nationalist campaigns are also heavily censored. So there's a lot of political censorship, as we mentioned, along with the caste system in India. So under Modi, things are not very great for media freedom. As far as their technological development, India is the largest exporter of IT, information technology, in the world. It contributes 7.7% of the country's GDP, which is just huge. Top areas of innovations are semiconductor manufacturing, which goes to making computers, doing AI, all of those things. They also are big in space exploration and telecommunications and defense. India has a literacy rate between all of their populations of 76.32%. Men have a 83.45% literacy rate, while women have a 69.1% literacy rate. In rural areas, the literacy rate drops for men to 74.1% and for women down to 50.6%. And there are a lot of rural areas in India. So as far as the media and internet penetration rates, Statista has an internet penetration rate in India of 52.4%. They rank second in the world for active users. The country is massive, so even with 52.4% of people utilizing it, they still are second biggest in the world. As far as social media, the penetration rate for social media is 32.2%, which is below the global average, but still leaves them with 462 million active users on social media. 1 in 5 watch video only over the internet and not on linear TV. As far as print media, it has a 17.1% penetration rate, and TV is estimated to be 70% by the Hindu Business Line. This is a number that was contested a little bit on the internet, but as far as I could really dig in and tell, this was the most accurate number that several sources had. Radio has a coverage of 90% by area and 98% by population in India. And Statista projects that 400 million people across India use the radio currently, and that number is projected to grow to 700 million by 2029. So to go over Hofstede's cultural dimensions, India has an unequal power distance compared to America of 77. This indicates a top-down society where the rulers rule and the people don't have much power. America has a 40, which shows a focus on equal rights, accessibility to leaders, and the ability to actually progress up and become a powerful person, or at least have some power, where India, that is not as common. It has a very low individualism score, which shows less importance on the person and more importance on the country. The United States obviously has a much higher score, so that those two things are flipped. Both India and the US are decisive cultures that like to display their success and power through material gains. and they are both considered moderately masculine countries. And lastly, India shows that they are a culture of restraint with an indulgence score of 26, compared to the US, where we have more of a work hard, play hard mentality with a score of 68 in the indulgence category. So, a little bit about Dove's audience. The demographics for this campaign, the age range is from young adolescent girls to young adults, and then their parents. And then this is mostly focused on females for the campaign. So Dove is considered a more expensive product overseas. They are marketed to middle and upper class homes. Normally, those people who are in middle and upper class homes are more educated and are more conscious of mental health, societal pressures, and the online landscape that their kids are involved in. Some of the psychographics that could be important are image consciousness. So many girls are exposed to social media and celebrity culture and Western beauty ideals. These can skew how they view themselves and others. There's a lot of societal pressure. So more parents are aware of this pressure, I think, now than ever before. So Dove was really trying to attack this in the campaign and show how this can affect those kids later on in life. And then the other main one is empowerment. Dove emphasizes body positivity and seeing the beauty in yourself rather than the beauty that others place on you. And this, targeting this audience is important because they're in a very important time for development of self-esteem and self-image. So Dove is definitely going after that in this campaign. So their approach to their audience, they leverage social media. So a lot of these people in this age group are on platforms like Instagram, YouTube, WhatsApp, and they're very heavily involved online. And in America, they were doing the Selfie Talk campaign. In India, it was Stop the Beauty Test. These were running concurrently. So they also use like the reverse selfie in America to show that like editing and manipulation of pictures is not needed. They offered the no digital distortion pledge, which encouraged viewers to take a pledge against excessive manipulation. And they offered confidence kits and showed many videos of Indian girls struggling to live up to some of the unrealistic beauty standards that they faced while they're actually seeking arranged marriages or, being courted to do so.
Next, we're going to be talking about the publics, with the primary being individuals in India who are shaping and permitted to societal beauty standards, which influence young women's self-esteem. Young Indian women who are targets of harmful stereotypes and beauty standards are those that we are definitely focusing on. And definitely a society which places marriage pressures on young women and definitely forces them to be paired with a specific man that they may not necessarily choose to be with. They are also focusing on customers of Dove Beauty products, specifically young women, women who are directly impacted by societal beauty norms and cultural practices such as arranged marriages, aforementioned. We're also going to be focusing on Dove's customers who are not impacted by this issue, but can still be influenced by the discourse about beauty standards and promote positive self-image. Secondary would definitely have to be both the traditional and social media, how it can amplify the message of this campaign by utilizing the hashtag and sharing content or perspectives related to the campaign. Media outlets can report on the campaign and share stories of women that are impacted by beauty standards as well. Secondly, we're going to be diving into the audience, with our primary focus definitely being on young women, specifically on the age range of 18 to 13, who are marriageable, who are at a marriageable age and would definitely be the primary audience. These women are in the matchmaking process for marriage, and they are held to the beauty standards that are established by the society. The films of the campaign feature real women who have been forced to change or alter their appearance in some way for their partner's pleasure, whether that be a potential husband or their family. The campaign amplifies how these young women are treated and how harmful an unrealistic stereotype can be on the beauty standards and how they perceive themselves, not only when they're looking in the mirror, but when they walk outside of their house to the public. Our second audience would definitely have to be parents, specifically those of young girls and women, or the Generation X, baby boomers, or another primary audience of this campaign. Mothers, fathers, grandparents, and other family members are the enforcers of these beauty standards. The prospective grooms' families hold these young women to an unrealistic beauty standard, biases, and stereotypes based on their appearance. The women face discrimination by parents and families who subject them to these beauty tests for marriage eligibility. The campaign aims to change these perspectives on society, beauty standards, and implores them to consider the effects of these harmful biases on young women's self-esteem, not only when they're at a young age, but when they're older as well. Next, we're going to be diving into the overview. First, we're going to talk about the theme of the Dove Stop the Beauty Test campaign, which is basically that they want to challenge societal beauty norms, particularly in the context of arranged marriages in India. The campaign's tagline is "Let's Stop the Beauty Test," which is aimed to bringing attention to the pressures placed on women to conform to the unrealistic beauty standards during the arranged marriage process. The key message for this campaign is that women in India are often judged based on their physical appearance during arranged marriages meetings, reinforcing harmful beauty standards as a whole. And the supporting messages that follow with that are that beauty should not define a woman's worth or eligibility for marriage. True beauty is diverse, inclusive, and not limited to societal standards. And thirdly, sharing real women's stories and experiences is crucial to raising awareness about the impact of beauty standards on self-esteem. Next, we're going to be diving into the campaign's goals and objectives. The campaign's primary goal is to redefine beauty perception in India's society, as aforementioned, especially in the context of arranged marriages. We are aimed on empowering women to break free from an unrealistic beauty expectation that is not only set by their parents, but also set by the parents of the groom as well. The objectives are going to start on raising awareness about the harmful beauty standard women face during arranged marriages. Secondly, to encourage more inclusive definitions of beauty that embrace diversity. Thirdly, we want to inspire societal change by sharing real women's stories. And lastly, to promote Dove's broader global mission of boosting self-esteem and body confidence as a whole. Next, we're going to be focusing on the strategies and tactics of this campaign. The strategies primarily focus on the emotional and societal impact of beauty standards in the context of marriage. We are going to try and use a strategy of collaborating with real women to share their authentic stories and experiences. They would also leverage Dove's brand identity of self-acceptance to drive a conversation about beauty diversity in India and to navigate the complex media landscape under India's increasing regulatory environment to ensure the campaign's message reaches a broad audience. And the tactics that we will be using would be releasing videos featuring real women narrating their experiences of being judged during arranged marriage meetings, to engage influencers and media personalities to amplify the campaign's message, while also being mindful of potential opposition or misinformation on social media. They also would, it is also important that we partner with a leading PR firm to promote the campaign across traditional and digital media, which is known as what's stated on the slide. I don't want to mess up the wording.
It's Ogilvy.
Thank you. And lastly, to closely monitor social media platforms to address any misinformation or negative narratives that could arise, ensuring the integrity of the campaign's message. Now we're going to be diving into the timetable and budget of the campaign. Now, while the specific budget details have not necessarily been disclosed to the public or in general, it is evident that the total worldwide spending and brand investment on marketing in 2022 was $7.8 billion. This campaign is designed to run across multiple media platforms spanning several months, which we will dive into a little bit later. The social media channels will be utilized frequently as posts will be uploaded weekly, varying from videos to tweets, hopefully, and posts. The campaign aimed for a broad reach across India, will be utilizing both online and offline media channels as well. Now we're going to be talking about what media channels were actually used. There are digital media channels, firstly, which are platforms like Instagram, YouTube, and Facebook. Those were key for spreading the campaign's message. The campaign video was shared widely online to encourage user engagement and social discussion. However, it is also worth mentioning that Twitter is not necessarily a platform that India is utilizing, as their last post was in 2017. So that's definitely something that should be utilized more frequently, as each social media platform is focused on a specific audience. And Instagram is definitely utilized for different things than Twitter would be. So they should definitely be using all platforms that are accessible to the public. Secondly, they would be also using traditional media channels, which are like television ads and press articles and publications like the Times of India, um, which are also helping reach a larger and more traditional demographic as well. Lastly, it is also crucial for influencers and public figures to utilize their platforms and speak openly about the campaign's message, which would also help expand and reach different audiences as well. One of the influencers that this campaign utilized was Soha Ali Khan, and she says that breaking the system is key. And the young star stated that self-esteem and how you feel is linked to how you look. Do not let people's opinions affect you. Also, when you look at yourself in the mirror, remember that the mirror lies. It's just a reflection of how you feel on the inside. It's a distortion, a reflection. It's not what you actually see. You'll never see yourself the way others see you. And I think that this is really important because she has a specific following of whether it be little girls or older women that would really take what she says to heart and look up to her to a great extent.
All right, next we're going to look at the different web pages that Dove utilizes. So first off, Dove's India web pages are good, but they definitely need a lot of work. So some elements of its web pages that work well are its Pledge Now buttons, short videos, interactive images with women's stories when you click on them, and social media links. However, some pages only have Facebook and YouTube for links. Other pages have all of their social medias. However, elements that do need work definitely include Dove's Learn More button. This button links to the same page that it's on, and then other links on Dove's actual website lead to a not found page. And then there are also big empty spaces, such as between the Pledge Now button and videos underneath. So there's just a big wall of white nothingness on there. Here's a screenshot of the Pledge Now button on Dove's website. So when you click it, it actually says, "Thank you for pledging." And then it shows how many pledges have been taken so far. And this is just the Learn More button. Underneath, you can see the Facebook and YouTube. I also wanted to talk about UNICEF's web pages because Dove's partnership with the organization has been critical so far. UNICEF does a good job captivating the readers with its vibrant colors and has other elements such as a list of links that show the path taken from other pages to get to the current one you're on, so it's a little bit easier to understand how you got there. They also incorporate CEO quotes on its materials, which give Dove a better identity. However, UNICEF also falls short in a few things, such as its pages being quite cluttered and intrusive, especially with its Become a Corporate Partner button sprinkled throughout many pages. And also, UNICEF is very corporate first, consumer last, which is evident when reading some of its educational materials about the campaign. This is a screenshot of one of the press releases about the partnership with Dove. And then this is UNICEF's traditional website. Throughout this website is where it says like partner, become a corporate partner and stuff. Next, I want to analyze Dove's electronic media kits. So Dove and its parent company Unilever do not produce many of these. However, the ones that are available include official press releases, numerous photographs, and occasional videos. In 2019, UNICEF released a press release detailing its partnership with Dove. This press release does a good job highlighting the mission of the campaign of Dove, and the rationale for its partnership. As for photographs, Dove does a fantastic job of highlighting women and young girls who don't abide by the traditional standard of beauty in India across its websites and social media. Some of these photographs are interactive, as I mentioned earlier, and tell the individual stories of the women pictured on them. Finally, Dove uses videos sparingly, and it is clear that they are purely promotional materials, such as commercials and advertisements. The videos are short at about only a few minutes long, but do a great job showing the stories of specific Indian women who agreed to be an ambassador for the campaign. Next, analyzing other online resources. There's definitely some good and some bad there. Dove does a good job in varying its use of promotional materials, reposts, and campaign posts throughout its social media. There's a good mix of each, and it is usually made clear what each post is intended for. Dove does a good job of monitoring negative reviews and comments, and often tells the person with an issue to reach out to receive more support there. Dove's social media accounts are also regionally exclusive, except it's Facebook, so Dove India has its own voice in the Indian market. Finally, Dove does a good job highlighting curated content from other Dove users and showcases its audience to the public. Some of the bad things about Dove's online resources, however, include that Dove does not have enough differentiation between its different audiences, even on Dove's India-specific social medias. Dove also takes the easy route in replying to people, often using the same blue heart emoji and nothing else. Dove's India-specific X account, as we mentioned earlier, only has 9 posts, with the last one being from 2017. And its YouTube is cluttered with many specific dialect versions of the same video, with each video being about only 5 to 30 seconds long. Many of Dove's posts do not relate to its Stop the Beauty Test campaign on Instagram specifically, and focus primarily on newer campaigns, such as another one about specifically mothers. For Dove achieving its objectives, they have worked quite hard for its objective to redefine beauty standards and ensure that the next generation has a positive relationship with the way they look. Dove is still running the Stop the Beauty Test campaign, although recently it seems like it's been a little bit less frequent. It is still wildly successful for the brand. Dove has been experimenting with variations of the campaign and using new hashtags with similar meanings behind them. Unilever, Dove's parent company, has seen a significant increase in revenue in India from 2020 to 2023, going from 4.9 million to 6.6 million euros in that span. While Dove is one of the most popular global brands in India, While Dove is one of the most popular global brands for health and beauty, it is unclear how much Dove has expanded its sales in India, as there are many popular brands there. Hindustan Unilever, which is also known as HUL, is Unilever's Indian-specific brand. According to the company, HUL had a turnover growth of 11% and an underlying volume growth at 3%, which were both significantly ahead of the market for the financial year 2021 to 2022. Again, this is according to the company. According to another source, Dove's sales have been growing at over 40% annually. Dove's India-specific website is filled with bad links, as I mentioned earlier, that circle back to the original page or simply no page at all. So some of Dove's channels do not do enough to inform Indian women about their campaign. But Dove also has electronic kits and programs on its website for parents, educators, and women to learn more about real beauty. But it's unclear right now how effective these are. Dove has also earned a good amount of media attention, so it's reasonable to assume that Dove has been making a name for itself in India as a company that cares about its people, even if its prices make the brand considered more of a luxury commodity for some. Dove continues to fight for its values of empowerment, body image positivity, natural beauty, and women's freedoms, and these values shine through its channels and the Stop the Beauty Test campaign. Dove does not do much for sustainability, though, in this campaign, and more work needs to be done for Dove to help young people raise their self-esteem, although a lot of progress has been made since the campaign began. Some of Dove's campaign tools need major work, especially its social media accounts. Finally, Dove's underlying messages are always clear in every post it makes, so anyone can be sure what Dove stands for.
All right, so now we're going to bring this thing to an end and go ahead and have our conclusion. To summarize it, the Stop the Beauty test focused on challenging deeply integrated cultural practices of subjecting women to unfair beauty standards during arranged marriage assessments. The campaign highlighted how women were judged on physical appearances instead of abilities, personalities, and aspirations. By showing real-world stories and real women, they were able to promote self-esteem and empower women to reject societal pressures. Some of the key takeaways we had from this campaign were that they challenged stereotypes and in doing so, they promoted change. They kind of had a difficult task to do because they're based out of the US, and to do this in another country is very tough, but they are actually able to make what I think is a big difference in India. And now they could take that to other countries around the world. One other thing is that cultural sensitivity is crucial. So Dove had a thin line of outraging people, but also sticking up for people that needed someone to have a voice in support of them. And so the knowledge that they had and sensitivity towards the culture showed actual genuine interest in helping these women from Dove. So I think that kind of kept them out of the fire with how well prepared they were. And also, their main point of all of their ads is empowering women. They've shown time and time again that that is their ethos. That's what they do, and that's what they'll continue to do. And that shows that it's more than just a campaign. It's actually what the company cares about. So some recommendations that we had for Dove in the future would be to kind of broaden their campaign reach. So with this success in India, they could take this campaign or similar, and obviously not just reproduce it, but have similar campaigns in other Eastern countries that face similar issues where women are subjected to a lot of these cultural norms and standards that are unfair. Also, a long-term commitment to India would show that this was not just a one-time issue or one-time cash grab, if you will. And they could show that they still want to empower women through different messages and efforts in India. And they can also increase their educational outreach. So they could look to alter their packaging or some sort of promotion to actually use its presence in different storefronts as a way to educate people on their goals and their plans for the future to keep empowering women and to do so for a long time. So that's been our presentation on Dove. And for James, Tristany, Sydney, Chris, and Jami, that's it for us.